Hello there. Hey, hey, hey. It's the Pacific Northwest Geek here. Echo of On a Dev 80's Week 2025, 2025, 2025. Zero. Cha, cha, cha. Baby. I'm back for day 7 of 80's Week, the final day. And before I continue, I want to say thank you to everyone who participated in this year's 80's Week. It was highly enjoyable. It's always enjoyable. But anyways, for my final review of 80's Week 2025, I'll be looking at the 1981 animated movie Heavy Metal. Sex, crime, and rock and roll. Put that here. Basically kind of inspired, well, not kind of, inspired by the adult fantasy magazine of the same name. Yes, I used to read this. It's a pretty cool, I don't know if I can really show some of what's in here. By the way, this has my favorite story in it. It's called Indecision, Indecisive, whatever. It's a pretty cool story. But anyways, this 1981 movie, and I do have a little story I'll tell later on about me and this movie the first time I saw it. This 1980 movie is an anthology movie, and I don't like anthology movies. I'm not a fan of anthology movies, but I am a fan of this, maybe because it's animated. And features some of the voice talent of people like Eugene Levy and the late John Candy. The whole story is that there's this thing called the Loch Nar. And in the wraparound story, we see this astronaut who was in outer space come home. We see where he's like, gets into a sports car, parachutes down to Earth, this big open field except for nothing's in there except for one house, drives up to the house, and goes to give this girl, his daughter, his gift, which happens to be the Loch Nar. And this is the wraparound story. It has the Loch Nar, after killing her father, terrorizes the girl because this girl apparently is a threat to it, and telling her these different stories, showing these different things that have happened because of the Loch Nar. We see stories like, our first story is like set in the future, where we see this taxi cab driver who's kind of cool. If he picks up anybody and they try to not pay him or hold him up for money, he can hit a button and this beam will come out and turn them into nothing, just vaporize them into nothing. Who finds himself getting involved with the Loch Nar when this woman whose father was studying it, her father's killed, and the gangsters go after her because they want the Loch Nar. The taxi cab driver saves her, and then he takes her back to her place where she decides she wants a little poutine, little bao chicken, wow wow. Give him some poutine, a little bao chicken, wow wow. And he basically he finds himself basically getting manipulated and involved in a situation that ends bad for the gangsters and the woman, but it ends good for him. There's what other ones we have? Dean, where a guy finds the Loch Nar, which has now gone to the size of a marble, and this guy has got this nerdy, scrawny kid who ends up in this other world where now he's big and jacked and bald. I think he starts talking about, oh, I'm big, and looks down, oh, I'm big all over, and basically he's like, I'm a loser in the real world. I can't even get any action. But now here I'm all big and bad, and all these women are thrown at me. He finds himself involved in a situation in which the woman he ends up falling for is being held prisoner. Well, by the way, much like him, she's from the real world and has been transported there. But she's being held prisoner, and to save her, he has to go help this bad guy steal the Loch Nar. Cute little segment. The B-17 segment, which is my favorite segment in this movie, is that somehow he ends up on an old World War II bomber, whatever, and turns so much of the dead soldiers on it, Air Force people, whatever, into zombies, and it's up to this one guy to have to fight through them to survive. It's my favorite segment in here. Captain Stern, about a guy, Captain Stern, who's being put on trial for his misdeeds, and he's got a long list of them, and he pays this guy hand over fist to basically lie for him to try to get him, acquitted or whatever, so he can walk free. but he has the Lochnar, which is a marble size, which makes him not only telling the truth, but turns into a giant Hulk guy and is like, Stern must die, and running through the station. Stern's running through the station. This big guy's destroying all this stuff. See what other segments are there. There's the one with the drug addict aliens who are on this giant spaceship. It looks like they made a spaceship built around a giant Lochnar, who end up picking up abducting two people from Earth and accidentally kill one of them. And this robot decides to take the human woman, like, I'm gonna go with her, and he gets it on with her, and it's an okay segment. The two aliens remind me a lot of Cheech and Chong. And of course, the closing segment is when it ends up on this planet, into this volcano, makes all this stuff come out that, like lava or whatever, but instead of killing people, it turns them to evil, it's evil minions, and it's up to this woman who's on the cover, her and a flying dragon dinosaur thing, to save the day. And all that's kind of, I don't even say that's the alien ship. But anyway, it's up to her to save the day. And somehow she's connected to the girl that's in the wraparound story. I highly suggest watching this movie. I gotta see if it's streaming anywheres. Because again, I highly suggest watching this movie. This is a super awesome movie. In fact, I wasn't planning on reviewing this movie for this year's 80's week. I was gonna review All Dogs Go to Heaven, and I couldn't get into the movie, so I'll just review Heavy Metal instead. The animation style is pretty good for 1981. Some of the things, sometimes how they move makes me think they use rotoscope, where they record somebody moving, doing the physical stuff, and then they draw all over him. Because some of the way they move sometimes kind of gives that feeling. It's got music by Black Sabbath, Blue Oyster Cult, Cheap Trick, Devo, Grand Funk Railroad, Sammy Hagar, Journey. Yeah. I can see Sabbath being heavy metal, but I don't know about some of these other ones. But it's still got a cool soundtrack. And again, I do highly suggest it. My first introduction to this movie was back in the late 80s, early 90s, maybe 1991 at the latest. My dad was in the Navy, and one of his crewmates were over, and me and one of his sons were watching TV, flicking through the channel when we came across this and started watching it. His sister came in, and I think she saw the scene where I want to say it's probably the scene where they had, with the taxi guy, and the woman's like, boom, can I be with you? And takes the tops off, and she's naked. And she thinks she got upset. If I remember right, she got upset when running to our dad saying that we were watching porn, and they came in like, what the hell are you two doing? And they look at what we're watching. It's like, it's not porn. It's a cartoon. They ain't doing nothing. They're making a big deal out of nothing. Well, for I know, they probably had already seen the movie and knew about it. And probably still like, it's nothing. They did make a sequel. I didn't really enjoy the sequel. Well, this is an anthology movie. The sequel is not. It's one singular story. If you're a fan of Julie Stein, the late Julie Stein, she voices the main character in Heavy Metal 2000. Like I said, the scene with the B-17, I believe it is the segment is my favorite segment. Dean and Captain Stern are the two segments, probably my least favorite, because I always forget about those two segments. Dean, I think, has John Candy in it, voicing in it, and no. Yeah, Dean has John Candy, I believe, provides a voice, and Eugene Levy provides a voice, I believe, for Captain Steen. So, Stern or whatever. If you guys have seen this movie, what is your favorite segment? Did you ever read the old magazine? I still have my small collection. They're no longer in print, but I think I saw somebody was trying to bring it back. I should look and see if I can get my hands at a good price for some of the older issues. I think they did one for Heavy Metal 2000. One of mine has an ad for 20 years of heavy metal. Again, it's a cool movie. I highly suggest it. Like I said, if you've seen it, tell me what your favorite segment is. Tell me if you read the magazine. But I gotta go. I gotta go edit this and rewatch a movie I haven't watched in years to review for the Zombie channel. Again, thank you for everybody who partook in this year's 80's week. It is such a fun event. And I will see you guys probably on the Zombie channel or on the main channel, who knows, but I will see you on the flip side. To the metal! Lou. Metal!